Hello underwater friends! Today we're going to talk about the settings we use for the GoPro Hero 7 to make great underwater video. For the image size, I like to use 4K. Why? Because I'm thinking about the future. Maybe today I would be okay with Full HD or 2.7K, but in a few years it's gonna change. So I film 4K. If I want, I can still crop on the picture, or even if I want to edit it in Full HD, I will have a better resolution and I will have a better image than if I was filming in Full HD only. So I think it's better. I understand that if you have a computer that is not so powerful, or if you don't want this, well, then Full HD is way enough for you. For the frame per second, I like to use 24 or 25 frames per second. I like to have motion blur, and even underwater, I think it's a nice addition and it looks very cinematic. If I want to do slow motion, then 60 frames per second would be an option. Or if I was filming in lower resolution, I would even consider 120. But I don't do much slow motion underwater. Sometimes I want to get the image to go faster, but rarely to slow motion. So for me, 25 or 24 is the best option. For the shutter speed, I put it on automatic. I learned not so long ago from a comment in a previous video that you can change actually many of the settings underwater. But it's not very intuitive and it takes quite some time. So I prefer to stay on full automatic. Like this, it makes it easier. Of course, if I really want to have the perfect image on some shots, maybe I can take the time and go on 1/50 if I want to take 24 or 25 frames per second. And if I want to do a specific slow motion, then I will go to 1/100. But in most cases, automatic works quite okay and it gives me the good exposition. And for the ratio, 16:9 is the best because, well, that's what I use when I do my videos in Full HD or in 4K. For the field of view, I like to keep it too wide because underwater, the scenery is very important. Especially when you're filming with the GoPro, you're not aiming for small subject like I would do with my mirrorless and a macro lens. So what you want is a wide field of view. So wide is perfect. If I want smaller, I can always crop in post and then use what I want from the footage. For the image stabilization, I always keep it to auto. The reason is, even if you try to be as steady as possible, you may move a little bit, so it's always going to be useful to have the Hyper Smooth from GoPro to help you out. It doesn't mean that you can move all over the place and that it doesn't matter, okay? The better your footage is to start with, the easier it's going to be. But a little movement here and there is not a problem. Sometimes you need to swim in one direction to have the subject with the good angle or something, or you want to swim side by side with a fish. GoPro, when you're at 800 ISO or more, most of the time the picture will be grainy. So I put my ISO minimum at 100 and my ISO max at 400. I think those are the good numbers. For the white balance, it will depend. If I'm shooting with the red filter from the Flip 7, I will use most of the time, actually all the time, the automatic white balance. If I'm shooting with the light though, I know the temperature of my light. It's about 5000 to 5500 Kelvin. So in that case, it's much better to use the same number. So 5000 or 5500 Kelvin. And then I will have the best result possible. For the sharpness, I will keep it to medium. When setting on sharp, actually what happens is that there is sharpening in the camera. I prefer to keep my sharpening to medium, and if I really need, I can add sharpening on my post-processing. Final thing, for the color profile, I always like to shoot flat. Flat means there is much more dynamic range, and when I do post-processing, I can always correct it when I wouldn't be able to do it with the full colors. Thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. In the next section, we'll talk about the shooting technique and the composition. See you next time, bye bye, thank you.